Wa nui, everyone. I forgot to unmute. Welcome to the second episode of our new series called From the Field. How exciting! Today, I want to welcome a very special guest and friend of mine, someone who you probably heard being mentioned a few times over the last years by our dear Elder Mauta. I want to welcome Dawn Burns, our lovely, there's her essence, our dear HUNA Matawani. But you will probably know her better under the mentioning of the Druid Master, not mentioning, but the title of the Druid Master, how Mauta would always refer to her. So I want to welcome her on the screen with me with so much wawa and gratitude and appreciation for her coming with me live today. Wa nui. So beautiful to have you with me here.
Thank
Lovely
you.
Dawn.
It's lovely to be here with you all.
Yes, so the two of us, we thought for this special moment that we would love to log in together before we go any further. So I will share a login, and dear HUNA Matawani will share a blessing for us into this space. And after that, we will dive into a very beautiful and sharing that comes deeply from our hearts about the return of the sacred stone. So yes, without further ado, I will share the login for us, and I will invite you all to just take a deep breath, and maybe you will feel like closing your eyes, or you just sit and listen deeply. Tihei Maori ora. Ma, ha, ka, wa, ta, hi. Ta, wa, ka, ha, ma. I te ngoa te to'iri, te au te wana, wai rua ta pū. I te ngoa te whenua, te rani, te katau, wai rua ta pū. I te ngoa te whaia, te matua, te tama, wai rua ta pū. I te ngoa huna, ina, wai rua ta pū. Ksa. Tihei Maori ora. I will now invite our dear Dawn to share the blessing into this space for this moment.
By the power of star and stone, by the power of the land within and without, by all that is fair and free, we welcome you to this, our gathering and our sacred sharing. O great Spirit, Spirit of this place, Spirit of our ancestors, we ask for your blessing, your guidance on this, our sacred sharing. At this time of sharing, we stand together as one people. May the heart of love light our sharing. May the light of awareness shine above and below, before us and behind us, to our left and to our right, all around us and within. So if we could just keep our eyes closed and take 3 breaths. 1 breath with the land beneath our feet. one breath with the sky above us, and one breath with the sea all around us. Thank you.
Wow, that was very lovely. Thank you so much for bringing all of these energies into this moment and sharing them, blessing us with this sacredness. Ah, beautiful to be here, and I want to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the Hunas and some of the people that are with us. Welcoming you all. We are so grateful for all of you to be with us live, and we are grateful for everyone who is watching this, sharing in the replay. It's such a blessing to have you all with us and have you listen into this. I say hello to our dear lovely Huna in Norway, Birgit, Huna Watawaho, Wawanui Colette, Huna Tamaaki is with us as well. And our beautiful Koha Huna from Wasawa, Liz from Hawaii, Tenali, Baker, Wawanui. Thank you for being with us. And also our beautiful Huna brother, Makahure, Wawanui. So beautiful to have you all with us. It's really a very special moment for you and me to come online. And I really felt so deeply that it would be so great for us to share with the Hunas and with the people about this powerful sacred moment that just took place. And it was quite a time, let's say, in the making, because right after Mauta's passing, you connected with me or connected with us with with the reminder of the gosh, my brain is a little bit slow as I am actually very tired today. But you reminded us of the sacred agreement. That's the word that I was looking for, that was made in the first place in the sacred ceremony that you shared with Mauta a few years ago. And I want to express again my gratitude for for the trust that you also brought towards me, being the one that was with Mauta and that took care of his things after his passing. The sacred stone then fell into my safekeeping, and I want to express again my gratitude for your trust and patience that you brought towards me to really see when the right moment would be to return it. As I had shared right away that I would like to return it in person. And there were a few moments in those months in between where I was like, oh, maybe I should already have returned it, right? Already. But it turned out that the moment was just exactly the right moment. And so I want to again express my gratitude for your trust that you gifted me with, even though you and I, we only had met briefly before, but not really met because I only had the pleasure of witnessing you once closing a ceremony at Burning Mask.
Yeah.
And so that was truly something very beautiful to have felt throughout those months, because the spaciousness that you gifted was really a pleasure and such an honor to receive.
Well, it's really an honor and a blessing to have met you properly now, and and to be here tonight as well. I mean, this is just it wasn't in my database at all, you know. And when I received the sad news of Mota's sad passing, and it came up really quickly. It was like the spirits guided me and said, you need to contact somebody with regard to the returning the sacred stone. It needs to come back to the grove or it's going to disappear. So there was an awkwardness because I tried to phrase it as kindly as I could, but there was still that urgency. And I had to act on what spirit was guiding me to do. And then once that was acknowledged, once the request was acknowledged by yourself, there wasn't that urgency again. I felt very much at peace and confident that I had done what spirit had asked me to do.
And and I remember that I felt that back in Mexico. You know, even though I went through my own experience with the stone in Mexico, which I'm not going to go into detail here in this sharing, but it was again this feeling of you had requested it and I had answered, and I could feel that you were trusting. You were trusting the process, you were trusting me, you were trusting Tamaake, you were trusting the ones that were in contact with you. And that was something that I deeply wanted to earn up to, so to say, right? And so my whole focus was, after I returned from Mexico, my focus was to return the stone. So it was like the next piece that had to be guaranteed. And that was where, let's put it that way, where Mauta's energy was, you know, because in Mexico, I took care of the things, I took care of the ashes, I took care of all of that. And then my focus went from that to the sacred stone. And and so of course there was a moment where I thought, why do I feel I need to do it in June, right? Even though I knew about the energetic alignments, and also in regards to Mauta, how that moment in the year was aligned to his seat of light, still there were processes where I thought, oh, maybe you just want to prolong this so that you can, you know, sit with the energy longer because, you know, of grief and all of that. But I can now say with confidence that was not the case, even though I went through my process of grieving, also with the stone in a way, which I had shared with you. It was, of course, not really about the stone. It was more about what the stone represented in regards to Mauta, right? So yeah, it was just a very interesting and beautiful process that the stone guided us through over the last months, at least for me, over the last months. And I know it's the same for you on your end. Yeah.
It did. No, it was, but I knew as soon as you'd responded that I knew it was all in hand. And then I trusted you. I trusted the process, but I trusted spirit, because I knew that whatever was meant to be and the timing would work out whenever it was meant to be. But I was also aware that you were incredibly busy dealing with all the arrangements and everything that had happened. And so I almost felt intrusive initially. I had to do it, and I thought, I'll just try to do this in the kindest way that I can. And once it's acknowledged, then I'll step back, because there's a response there.
Yeah, and I mean, you, as I've said, you did, and it was received. And well, there was a moment where I was like, okay, because, you know, in the way Mauta had shared about the stone, he never fully mentioned that agreement, because probably he didn't feel that it was needed for him to share this, you know, because of how things like developed in such a surprising way, so to say. But I felt immediately that it was the honorable thing, right? It was like, this is where almost the golden threading is leading things, right? And so I could understand right away why it was that you reached out. And we already had spoken about this as well when we met in Glastonbury, and I think you did such a beautiful job of putting it in such beautiful and kind words, and also explaining it in such a clear way, you know. And yeah, so that's on that for now. And yeah, for me, it was when I received that email, it was clear, okay, I'm not going to just send it over in a box. That just didn't feel right. It didn't feel as if it was giving credit to, let's say, the sacredness of that object or of that stone. And so for me, it felt really, no, the right thing is for me to show up in person and to deliver it in person, because this was a thing that I could deliver in person. You know, I was already not able to deliver Ma'uta's ashes in person because it was just logistically and all of that. It was not possible. It was not possible for me to be handed out the ashes because I'm not his wife. I'm not a family member. So this was an opportunity for me to also show up and to deliver something in person, which felt right. And so I remember that I sat with the stone, and already back in Mexico in January, Stonehenge came in right away into my field, and the summer solstice. And I'm like, okay, I need to be there at the summer solstice. Interesting. And so I sat with it more, and I'm like, yeah, I know that, you know, Ma'uta's light was in the seat of light was located in the Southern Cross. So in the southern pillar of creation. And I felt like, yes, it's probably because this moment in the year, in the light year, is exactly aligned to this seat of light, right? It's where the new light year begins, and where we, so to say, travel through that Southern Cross moment. And so for me, it was okay. So I am invited to show up, and I knew that you and me would meet up in Glastonbury, and I knew I would have to go to Stonehenge. And these were the things that reached out to me, and also the white chalice in Glastonbury. These were already the three things that reached out to me and that made themselves known, so to say, while I was still in Mexico in January. And I do believe that I sat with this for quite some weeks before I then communicated with you that I would like to come in that time frame. And and then everything happened, and you and I came together on June 18th at the beautiful apple tree circle that you and your Druid order planted down at the feet of the Tor in Glastonbury.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And what was interesting about the 18th of June is I would normally never be available on that day because it was my daughter's birthday. And but she'd chosen to go to, I think she was going to Sweden for her birthday for the first time ever. So, I happened to be available, but it wasn't in my database either that I'd be going to Stonehenge. So even when we'd met and I'd received the stone back, it was like, I know I mentioned to you that they were actually opening the night before and staying open all through the night. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I had other commitments. I had Druidic commitments. And then for a ceremony, I was supposed to be attending at Stanton Drew. And then there was other commitments for another ceremony I was doing on the beach in Penarth later on. So it wasn't really in my database. And but what was interesting is when I arrived in Glastonbury, I was a little bit late, but I parked not far from Chalicewell, in the shoe factory and stuff. But as I actually got out of the car, where previously when I'd gone to Glastonbury, and if Mauta was in Glastonbury and I didn't know, his white dragon would always come to me. So I'd see the white dragon in the car park, and then I'd know, oh, he's here somewhere. So I'd look for him and I'd find him. We'd normally meet up, just more coincidentally. But that day, I didn't have the white dragon. I was expecting maybe the white dragon, but maybe not. I wasn't quite sure. But what I had was the black dragon. And I wasn't I thought, oh, did you change color? Or why have you gone black now? And it just didn't make sense. I knew it was something to do with it, but because I'd never met yourself really before, I didn't know. And then when I found you in the apple blossom circle and you had the black dragon staff, I was like, oh, but I still thought it was his. I thought it was Mauta's.
Yeah, the interesting thing was that with that is the journey to Glastonbury was in a way the first journey that I went on with the staff. So there was one journey that the staff did before, and that was to Vancouver, because I had sent the staff over to Vancouver for a burning mass, because when more than a year ago, the ancestors told me, oh, the black dragon is about to arrive, I had no clue what that meant. And I shared it with Mauta, and he and I, we talked about the black dragon energy a lot. And in the process of me connecting with that and feeling into it, I first thought it was an energy that was meant to go to him. So I got the staff as a gift for Mauta, and I intended to gift it to him at Burning Mask in Vancouver. But the staff never made it in time. It never made it in time to be able to be gifted. And then it returned, I think it was 94 days after I sent it off, on the 9th of September. So I sent it off to Vancouver on the 9/9, and it returned back to my house on the 12th of December. And it was traveling for a full length of 94 days, and it came back to my house. And I'm like, huh, interesting. So you were not meant to be gifted this time around. Okay. And then when I actually traveled to Mexico to visit Mauta and to see him in the hospital, I actually took a picture of the black dragon stuff, because I already had told him, like, there's something that I want to gift to you, and it's for some reason not happening, but I need to gift it to you. I cannot tell you what it is. You need to receive it. And so when I arrived in the hospital, I asked him, do you want to see the gift that I wanted to give to you already for months now? And he's like, no, later. And it was as if he didn't want to receive it. It was like, yeah. And then he passed away. Wow. And the first time that I could feel the energy of the black dragon really, let's say, coming in a different way than it was before, because before then I would already have a feeling when I would connect to the energy and I would feel the energy. But the first time that I was truly feeling the energy coming into a space was actually on the day that he passed. So it was actually quite something for me where I'm like, okay, what is this? And it took me quite some time to see that this was something that was coming to me. And yeah. And so when you shared that with me, that the black dragon came to you, was, yeah, such a beautiful thing to receive from you, such a beautiful confirmation, right? Because I had shared with you the vulnerabilities that I have with this, you know, because I had already seen reactions towards this energy when I started sharing about it, and I could see how it would trigger things in the field and with people, and how it would have an effect, because the energy is quite, yeah, it's a dragon, right? It's quite powerful, and she is very big. And so, yeah, it was very beautiful because Glastonbury, I only had arrived a day prior to that, and it was the first time that I was walking this openly with her. She had been in a ceremony with me prior to that, which was on the spring equinox, because on the spring equinox, a year before, I received the message of that the dragon is about to arrive. And yeah, there's a whole nother story. Like, there's so much with this that happened throughout the year. And then I knew, okay, now it's time to take her out, and now it's time to be with her. Yeah. And so the first ceremony that I did was here in my hometown. And then the first journey that I did with her in the way where she was really traveling alongside with me was then to Glastonbury. And the 18th was only the second day, or like the first full day that I would spend in Glastonbury. And so for me, it was still a very fresh experience of walking around with my dragon stuff and like getting the reactions and the yeah, how can I say that? But the interaction with the field in that way, because it's quite powerful and quite different than, I mean, I've walked with my other staffs before, but this one is just a different presence. It's just, yeah, larger in the energy that it emanates. Yeah.
But it was lovely because when we came together within the Blossom Circle, you know, and we laid out the little grid of what we'd each brought, and then you gifted me with the mistletoe bag, which is and the seeds and stuff, which is lovely. And you know, as soon as we laid the things onto the grid, the final bits, then the woman came up to us and apologized and said, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're going to do a dragon ceremony. And we're going to make a little bit of noise. Is that okay?" And I mean, you couldn't write it because of the timing, and you were so eloquent. You said, "Well, here, use my staff." And I mean, she was absolutely just completely blown away by it. She was so humbled, and you could see she couldn't believe that actually being honored to hold this staff and stuff. So it was a completely different reaction to the dragon staff. I mean, it was an opening, it was a welcoming, and it was a, "Oh yes, please." And then she offered for us to join with her and with the other women. I mean, it was just such a sacred moment, and it almost felt at that moment it was the closing of one cycle and this opening up of another. And that's what it felt with the divine feminine and the women coming in and coming together. And then even actually, you know, sharing the staff.
Yes, it was so magical. And this is what I've learned so far with her. I have her right here. I can actually bring her in for a moment. If she's quite tall, I'll have to see if she comes down, but here she is. And, you know, the beautiful thing is that this is in a way she brings in, right? She said, okay, I want to go and play over there. So it was really something that she prompted me to do. And then to see and witness how she was flying, so to say, through the hands, right? And she was being with every one of them, every one of the beautiful women. That was truly so beautiful to receive and to see. And this was also what she already revealed in the first ceremony, where she was also just flying through the hands of everyone that was there. And really coming into play and to be with everybody. And this also continued, like in the ceremonies that we did after that. And everyone who would, you know, speak with me, like I invited them, oh, do you want to hold her? Do you want to meet her? You know, and some of them would be like, yes. And some of them were like more cautious. You know, there were a few people that asked me, oh, that, like, what is that? You know, and they were a little bit skeptical or hesitant. But also with that, it was beautiful to see how then being open and sharing with them the energies and just communing with them actually brought them then closer to understanding what that dragon is truly about, so to say, or what she brings in. Because for some it can be, oh wow, you know, there was one guy that always called it the Iron Age dragon, you know, because it had something, I don't know, about it for him. That was what he was receiving with it. And someone in Glastonbury that I walked past quite a few times, because that's what happens, right? In Glastonbury, when you're staying there, you always meet the same people. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And yeah, but that ceremony, it was truly such a beautiful moment, because I remember that right before we had shared about the black dragon energy and about how it can bring up the fears in people, right? And then to go through this experience together right there and then, and to see, oh no, okay, people are ready to receive this. People are ready to receive the unknown and the darkness. Let's just put it like that, like in a different way now. They are ready to see it again for what it truly is, right? Because malevolent and bad intentions, we can find both in light and dark, right? It's like, it's nothing that's only over there and not over here to be found. Yeah. And sometimes people mistake that because of, you know, the way that we sometimes speak, oh, light against dark and all of that. But it's not really about these separation energies anymore. It's not about that warring anymore, right?
Yeah. No, you need the two for balance in any case, you know. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
It was interesting because the women, there was no hesitation. They weren't put off by her at all. There was just an acceptance and a welcoming and an honoring of her as well at that point.
Yeah. So maybe it would be so beautiful for the people to hear a little bit about the story of the sacred stone from your perspective, and about the moment of the gifting 5 years ago. Maybe you would like to share a little bit about that. I think people would be.
Yeah, I think it was gifted a little bit long. I'm not sure how long ago it was gifted. It was, I think it's a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember the precise time, but I do remember that I was told by spirit I needed to, so I've got to take it back a little bit, because I was told by spirit that I needed to do a ceremony in the middle of Stonehenge. And at the time I wasn't a druid. And I thought, well, how do I get to do a ceremony in the middle of Stonehenge and actually get into the middle of Stonehenge? And then people said, well, you can do it if you become a druid. So I did. I thought, well, I need to get in there. And so I applied to become a druid with Obod, and you start at the lowest grade, which is a bardic grade. And I hadn't joined. I'd been a member for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And they had their summer gathering at Stonehenge, and I was invited to go. And I thought, oh, great, hooray, I can go do the ceremony that I've been told I need to do. And I'd taken my Lemurian crystal with me, because I was guided to take my Lemurian wand with me. And when I was getting on the coach, it turned out that the chosen chief of our order was not coming. And they asked me, as the newest member, if I'd be willing to take his part and open the ceremony for all the druids. And I was like, absolutely, yes. I was petrified. Your head screaming, no, but I thought I have to, because this is what I meant to do. And that was for a summer solstice gathering. So, and within that, I would say, so I had the Lemurian with me. And then there was also the sacred stone that was with me as well. So we had the sword and the stone, effectively. And the ceremony was carried out, and it was fantastic, because what happens is with Lemurian, so with the Lemurian crystal, the only thing that I was regretful of was the fact that if you want to amplify the energies of any ceremony with a Lemurian, you need to have selenite with it. I hadn't brought any selenite, but the sword bearer for the Druid order had a selenite sword. So he had this massive selenite sword that he'd opened many Druidic ceremonies with. So the whole thing was complete, and that started the journey. And then obviously I had my sealing with HUNA Mauta on the phone. But then it transpired he was coming over to Stroud to stay with my friend. And she said, well, you have to come and meet him. And I thought, well, he's a sacred elder. I have to take a gift. What gift should I take? And Spirit said, you have to kind of enter into a sacred agreement, but gift him the stone. And I thought, no, I don't want it. It's mine. I only just achieved this, and it's got all these ceremonies in it. It's like, no. And then eventually, Spirit, they don't leave you alone. They keep going and keep going. And it, and in your heart, you know what the right thing to do is. But I was in complete denial because I didn't want to do it. But I thought, oh, do you know what? Okay, I will. So I did. So I went off to Stroud, my friend's house and stuff. And I spoke to her about it. And her and I put together a ceremony where we would gift him the stone, the sacred stone, with the understanding that should anything happen, it would be returned. But during the actual, so there was a load of people there, and he was sat on these steps of this stone wall, and it was really lovely. And he was sat there, and we presented him with this stone. And when it was actually presented, he just started crying. And I thought, oh my gosh, I hope I haven't offended him. And then he started saying a whole bunch of words that I have no idea what he was saying. I had nothing. I didn't understand any. And he was just kind of, shouting to the stars and shouting to the earth and to everyone around. And this went on for several minutes. And we were looking at each other, and I thought, is this a good thing or not? And then he explained, and then he started crying again. And he was like, oh, you have fulfilled sacred prophecy. And I can't remember the prophecy that we fulfilled, but I thought, oh, this was a good thing. And then from that point, he just really, really honored the stone and looked after it and cared for it and took it where, to his ceremonies, to his travels and stuff. And occasionally I'd get a little message from him, and he'd say, oh, cool, want to chat? And I'd say, okay. So we'd have a little chat, and then he'd tell me how things were going and stuff. But it was such an honor and such a blessing. And it was just so overwhelming to think that just through a simple act of kindness, or that you're guided and something so huge can transpire. It's very humbling to be part of, say you fulfilled a prophecy. I mean, that's incredibly ginormous and humbling. And I don't know, I felt very, because then I started crying, and my friends started crying, and everybody was crying, because it was such a, I don't know, it was just such a point of the heart, and think, yes, we're on the right track. We have to do this. So for the stone now to come back at a summer solstice again is just, I felt that's another prophecy that had to be fulfilled. The stone had to go back to Stonehenge. So once I had it, because sometimes I'm not giving guidance until the last minute. So it's like, you need to go here. And that's exactly what happened. So the night before the actual solstice, they're like, you need to go to Stonehenge. It's like, but I'm going to the Stanton Drew. And they're like, no, you need to go to Stonehenge. So I dressed in all my robes and stuff and my cloak. And I went off the night before. And I got to Stonehenge about, I think it must have been about 10:30 by the time I parked and then walked in. So I was there about 11 o'clock. And the scene there, as you know, I wasn't prepared for what I found, because I've only been there when it's been sacred. And when there's been spiritual people that honor the sacred space. I have never seen anything like that. And even if you watch it on a live stream, you don't get the immensity of what's actually happening. Because while you're walking up, there's all these food and drink vans. Everybody's completely off their face. They're drunk, or you could smell drugs. There's all this stuff. I didn't see one single spiritual person. So me walking in white robes, white cloak, and I had my backpack that had the stone and the Lemurian, your gift as well, and a few other things. I mean, and there's security as well. So they're checking all the bags. But because of how I look, they just let me go through, which I was grateful. But then I had to push my way through the crowds, and there's this blue light everywhere. So all the stones were lit up with this bizarre blue light. And there's over 25,000 people there. There was over 25,000 people that I had to walk through, and I was on my own. So it's a little bit scary when you're on your own as a woman, with a lot of drunk people and a lot of people not quite grounded. And it was just really, so I was asking Spirit, I was like, I know I have to do this. Well, help me go through it easily, with ease and grace, let people welcome me. And they were actually, it was like parting the sea. People were just parting for me. So I managed to maneuver myself to the middle of the stones. And it was fantastic. And people were coming up to me. They were hugging me. They were going, what are you? and asking me all these questions, and I was trying to explain Druidry to them, and I was explaining about the sacred stone. And what was great about it is by the morning, but in the middle of the stone circle as well, sorry to go back, you've got all the drumming. It was just continual drumming. I mean, how they achieved that, it was fantastic. But
until the morning it was like that, right?
No, it carried on. It didn't stop. And they didn't even take a break. So how they achieved that, I have no idea. But the drumming just kept going and kept going and kept going. So, but that was like the heartbeat. So you kind of got into the rhythm of it, and I felt like it was the heartbeat, and just pulsating and pulsating. And I was focused on connecting to the earth and connecting to the heavens. And I knew that at the point of the solstice, when the light comes through the stones, and the people were in the way, I had to hold up that stone to get those first rays of light. And so I was saying to people, look, I'm here on a sacred mission. This is very important. And I said, I know you're here to have fun and enjoy this, but this is bigger than all of us. So I need your help, and I need people to just part briefly. I know you want to take pictures, but can you just part briefly so I can hold the stone up so it can get the light? And I said, that's all you have to do. And I said, and I'm going to chant Arwen. So Arwen is a chant that Druids chant, and it means inspiration. But it's also about connecting with the creation. So you're calling forth that creation to achieve that inspiration. And we chant it 3 times. And then people joined me chanting it as well. But it was fantastic. So as I was there all night, and people were talking to me, and, and how I don't know, time just disappeared. It went really quickly, even though I was there for such an enormous amount of time. And, and the thing is with Stonehenge, there's this, not meaning to be complicated about it, but there's this mathematical kind of triangulation of, it's called a toroidal field. So, and it's amplified by the trinity of our essence. So us is a temple. So we are the light, and although I was scared, I had Mauta going, hold the dark until the light comes. I could hear his voice. He's going, just hold the dark until the light comes. And, and we were, I was able to hold that space, for that time, and just focusing on my mission and what I had to do, and Mauta and all that he's done to get to that point, and how we, the energies of the stone had to go back into the ground. It was too big for one person. It was too big for any group of people to have. So, at the point of light, everybody was going, come on, we got to move. And I was like, oh, thanks, guys. And I'm just holding this up. And I was like, just focused. And then I started chanting the Arwen, and I could feel the energy just coming through the stone, coming down to me and into the earth. And it kind of went all around to the people that were there as well. It was like they were amplifiers as well. And maybe, if they were connected to Lemuria, to, Druidic or Avalon or anything, that they were activated as well. So within their own DNA, that whole process provided a seed of activation. But people were kind, and they were supportive, and I didn't have to do anything other than turn up and be present. And they helped, spirit helped, the people helped. And I wouldn't have thought that, I wouldn't have thought that with how they were. But
at the beginning of the night, right? Yeah,
honestly. And I was disappointed though after. So once the energy had gone in, and I then moved out of the circle. But it was a mess. Like, they'd left rubbish everywhere. It was just not an honoring of the sacred place. And the thing with Druids, you kind of turn up to a place, but you leave no evidence that you've been. So when you go, nobody knows you've been. You take everything with you. But I was very humbled and honored, and I don't know, it just felt like such a momentous task. I mean, I likened it to almost, Frodo in Lord of the Rings, having to put that ring and not be sucked in by the power and wanting to keep it, but that was never an option for myself.
No, I know that. And for me, neither. It was never an option. And the beautiful thing is, and I had shared this with you in our conversation after the solstice in our phone call, that I already had the feeling of the stone being present in Stonehenge at the summer solstice back in January. And it was interesting because the closer it got to us meeting, I really had to let go of me trying to make things happen, or to maybe say to you, oh, do you want to come with us to the solstice and Stonehenge? It was really not my part. My part was to deliver it to you. And after that, it was with you, and it was up to you. And so when you shared with me that you were there, and the thing is, you and me and the other Hunas, we were there at the same time, right? We were actually there in the inner circle of Stonehenge at the same time. And also we attempted to make it to that center stones, to that altar stone, but we couldn't get through. But I was probably like one person away from where you were. And so we did our ceremony just a few meters away from where you were. And to see that all of that really took place, because one Huna in our group, Huna Vaharina, she kept on saying, there's going to be another Huna. We're going to be 7. And I'm like, no, we're 6. And this is exactly what we need. This is the alignment that we need for this cracking. But the 7th was there. You were there in the center. And you even poured water from both the chalice well and the white spring over the altar stone. This was also something that I had seen and that I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get it done.
Yeah.
I couldn't have achieved this, but all of these pieces I already had seen. And still Spirit invited me to let go of every expectation, of every pressure that I thought would maybe be there, like any assumption of how this is supposed to be happening, right? But it still happened. And this was really, for me, when you then shared, like I was there, I was like, whoa. And then you and I had that phone call. And when you shared with me the feelings that you had, you also then said again, it was the feeling of like the closing of one circle and the immediate opening of another. And when you shared with me, I then realized what this was about, the story of the stone and the connection that the stone and Meuta had. As we look at our tokotokos and our tools as extensions of our own energy, the energy inside the stone was an ancient axe-head, an ancient part of a weapon that Meuta wielded many times and many lifetimes before, which was an extension of his energy. And so to then see that moment had to align exactly in the way because I got the feeling, oh, the weapon was disarmed. It was like the power in it was disarmed, not in a way that it was evil, but it returned back to the source. It returned back to Mauta. It returned back to his essence, because the extension and that the manifestation of that weapon, that aspect of his power, in that way is no longer needed. That was the feeling, that the power returned the power that was inside the stone returned back to him, which is connected to that ancient prophecy and to that ancient weapon. He called it the Odin Stone, right? Because he remembered that he remembered a lifetime with this weapon, and I think many more. He never shared it to the full extent, but that was the feeling that I got right away. And the feeling was now, okay, we no longer, like, doesn't need to be any fear around the stone or any energies being able to manipulate the power inside of it, because the power has returned. And the stone itself shares the memory of that story. It still holds the memory of that whole story. But this moment that we just guaranteed is part of that story now. So also that moment is now part of that memory that the stone holds, right? And part of the story. And so that was truly something so deeply beautiful, and it brought everything into full circle in a way, and it brought like everything into a different picture, and all of a sudden other things that had happened made sense in a different way, where because there was a moment where people said, oh, the stone should have went with him into the fire and all of that. It was an extension of his energy and all of that. But we knew that was not the honorable way. And why was it not the honorable way? Because this was the moment that it was meant to happen. And also, if it wouldn't have happened this way, we wouldn't have met, right? We wouldn't have sat together. We wouldn't have shared, and things wouldn't have continued with this story in a way, right? And so it's really interesting and beautiful. And also this feeling and the phrase and what he shared with you, hold the dark until the light comes, that was exactly what we could witness there, right? And the interesting thing is as well, when the Hunas and I tried to make our way through the crowd, because we wanted to do a cracking, and we came there and it was clear, okay, we cannot do a cracking around the whole thing. There's too many people here. It'll be totally chaotic and we will lose each other. So we did a cracking in a small circle, and we said we got to crack it from the inside out. So we wanted to go into the center, which was not possible because there were the people drumming there, right? And so we said, okay, we're just going to stand in front of the south pillar, because that's the alignment that, is aligned with Ma'uta's seat of light. And so it was the feeling, this is where it needs to happen. And the energy was quite claustrophobic, actually.
Yeah, it was.
And one of the Hunas was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. And I was like, no, just let's go in and do it right now, strongly. But before that, we had lost each other. This was what I wanted to tell, because I also don't want to take too much away from the next sharing with the other Hunas, where we will go into the details of, what this group that I was being part of did throughout the solstice and all the ceremonies, because there was so much that took place within these days. But the beautiful thing is that happened was we lost each other. So we got split in the crowd, and I was walking ahead with my dragon staff, and then I started putting my dragon staff up in the air. And on the journey with the in Glastonbury, I had this little scarf around it, right? That was a little silken scarf of Ma'uta's that had to come with her. And I was waving it around so that they could see us. And I was like, it was almost as if I was waving a white flag, like saying, hey, we come in peace. Please let us through. And we were quite struggling to get through, and started to also speak to people. Hey, could we maybe get through? We want to do a ceremony over there. And we lost the other Hunas, and all of a sudden, like I I started shouting HUNA, and then HUNA Manikai also started again to shout HUNA, HUNA, so that they could be able to find us. And the other people around us started to shout with us. And all of a sudden there was like this momentum going where the people around us started shouting with us. And it was like, yes, they were doing that because, they were getting amped up, and they didn't know what they were doing, but still the codes were spreading.
Yeah.
And that was really incredible. So we sang with them HUNA, or we shouted with them HUNA, HUNA, Ina, Ina. And we know what that means. It's like the infinite, eternal one and the many, many and the one. What else do you want to share, right? And so when you just shared this moment where you could feel like that the people were there to help, in that moment, I really had this feeling of, so throughout the hours of midnight, the 0 point, and then the energies were already starting to shift.
Yeah.
And we completed our ceremony at the 0 point. At midnight, we weave the waters in front of the south pillar. We poured the waters into the ground of the Chalice Well and the White Spring. And this was when we completed in the 0 point our ceremony. And then we walked out of there, and then at sunrise we were at Avebury. But how incredible that you could witness that things were, that already energies were moving, and that people were opening, and that they wanted to actually help, and that they wanted to guarantee this moment together with you. How beautiful.
It was incredible, but I didn't know that you were there.
No.
I thought, and that's fantastic, because there were 7 women as well in the first ceremony we did in the Blossom Circle. There were 7 of us, so it's interesting that there was 7 Hunas.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was we actually had the plan of being there before all of the people, because we wanted to do the ceremony before. But then we saw, okay, it's actually not really anymore possible. So we didn't really have a different choice. And with us, we got held up by the traffic. So because we went into the parking and all of that, we were in the traffic, and you were exactly the opposite, right? We took longer to get there, and you arrived very quickly. And so it was almost as if, we were supposed to be there at the same moment. So Spirit helped you to get there in time, and Spirit held us back, so that, because we were literally, there were a few moments throughout the day where I was like, guys, we got to hurry up. We want to do this, right? And I was already like, why is this taking so long? Because I was also thinking, I don't want to make the whole night, because we didn't get any sleep, right? And
no,
didn't either.
No.
And I already had only 3 hours of rest the night before. But it's like, it's really magical, how these moments happen, because we were literally held up in traffic in that long line where I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm driving to a festival with this line of traffic. And so it was really the feeling of that we were meant to cross each other's paths. And I think I had told you that I saw one woman in a white robe. I don't know. Did you have your cloak, like your hood on? Do you remember if you had your hood on?
I don't think I did. I can't remember now, but I didn't initially. No.
Because I came across a woman in a white robe, and she had her cloak on like this.
Oh, maybe I did when I was going through security. I did.
Because it was before we walked in.
Mm-hmm.
I crossed paths with someone, and someone that was walking very determined and very focused, and I didn't really caught a full glimpse of the face, but I thought of you. I'm like, oh, this must probably look like Dawn in her druid robe. And because you said there was nobody else in druid robes and white robes like you were, I'm like, wait a moment. Was it maybe that we even literally crossed paths, but we didn't took notice of one another because we were not meant to?
No. And it was also very dark as well, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So it was super dark, except for that crazy blue light that was everywhere.
And I mean, I also started already tuning into the weirdness of the field on our drive there. I remember that I had messaged with HUNA Tamaake, and I said, like, something's really weird in the dragon energies. I could feel it in my stomach. Something was almost like twitching and twisting, and it was really like the more we drove up to there, the energies got more intense and more intense. So when you go into ceremonies like that, you are also in a little bit of a tunnel vision, right? Where you're just like full focused on what it is that you want to achieve. And you're just, and sometimes you notice things, but you cannot really go there because you need to stay here. So that was the way that I was in that moment.
And that's how I was when I got there. And, you know, and I knew I had to somehow achieve the center of the circle. But when you walk up to it, you think, oh, my goodness me, because there was just people everywhere and it was claustrophobic. You were literally pushing your way through. But I didn't have to. They were looking at me imparting, you know.
Beautiful.
So it was very, very good. But
and and it's interesting because we attempted to make our way to that, but we were not meant to be at that place because that was where you were meant to be. So that's also interesting, because for you, the people were making way. For us, they didn't, even though, I was wearing my red robes, I was coming with my dragon stuff. It was, I was wearing my sacred robes, but I was not meant to be in that space. So it's just interesting to see, okay, that's why. And for me in that moment, I'm like, no, we're meant to go over here. That's fine. We're just going to do our thing. And then we're going to move along. Right.
And because I'd been there to numerous solstice ceremonies with the Druids, I knew exactly where I needed to be for that first light as well. And that's why I was just completely focused.
So I feel it was probably for sure you that walked just right next, like right there. You were walking towards the entrance.
Yeah.
So and then also I remember that when I was there in that space, I was like, a part of me actually feels like we shouldn't be leaving. A part of me feels like we should stay for first light. But then also we knew, like, no, we got to go to Avebury. There's something for us to do there. And it felt really right that we were supposed to be there for sunrise. But a part of me was like, but we need to hold this space here as well. And the beautiful thing is the space was held. So the Hunas were present at both of the sites. Indeed. For the sunrise.
And what was interesting is the way I got to Stonehenge is I drove through Avebury. So I actually went completely through Avebury and saw like loads of police, loads of people, a similar sort of thing that was happening at Stonehenge. And I thought,
not in the large extent as it was in Stonehenge. There were not 25,000 people at Avebury, but it was still quite a lot of people. Yeah.
And it took me, because of the road closures as well, I had to go via West Kennet Longbarrow. And I thought, that's interesting because that's right by, I can't think of the hill. There's a hill, there's a famous mound there as well. I can't think of what it's called. Silbury Hills, yeah.
Silbury Hill, yeah.
Yeah, and Swallow Springs. So I pulled over. There was a little space, so I pulled over and I did a prayer just out in between all that. And then I drove on again because I felt I needed to stop and anchor the stone energy a little bit there as well. And then I drove on. And when I got to Stonehenge, there was just like, it was just crazy with people trying to park and stuff. And I thought, no, I need to get in there. So with that, somebody on the roundabout, just outside, just right by Stonehenge, pulled their car off the verge, and I pulled into the verge that he pulled out of. And the woman behind me said, if you park here, you will get a ticket. And I said, well, how much is the ticket? And she went, £35. I said, oh, it's worth it. So I abandoned my vehicle with everyone else. And literally, I just walked straight in. But it turned out it was good that I did, because otherwise I would have been stuck getting out. And I had to be for another ceremony in Penarth for 11. And I only managed to get there for 10:30. But I was driving all kinds of bizarre ways. But it was because I was parked illegally that I was able to leave quickly.
Yeah, and this is how things are divinely guided in a way where we are sometimes like we don't really know how this is, how and why this is, but it's so beautiful. And what a powerful and beautiful moment, and what an immense honor, right? To be part of this beautiful moment and this guarantee, because it was a guarantee. It was a guarantee of something very great and very big, because it was connected to Mauta. It was connected to the honoring of his story, the honoring of his energy, and making sure that, let's say, all parts of him become one again. And so it's quite big.
But it's also the fact that, Mauta, he's an elder of the first light lineage, i.e. Lemuria and stuff. So because we achieved this together, and me with the Celtic Druidism, being part of this prophecy together suggested that perhaps the star wisdom of Mauta joined with the earth wisdom of the Druid, and we formed that bridge that allowed that energy to come through via the stone and then just to circulate and permeate out. So it was such an honor and such a blessing, and a truly humbling experience. But I'm grateful because I got to meet you as well, and to share here today.
Yes.
With everyone. So it's just really lovely.
And one thing that I would like to share as well, because one of the things where, because with everything, there's always like a laughing and a sad eye and a laughing eye with lots of things, right? And like for me, I knew the stone was meant to return to the sacred grove, to its origin, so to say. A part of me still was like sitting there and being like, but then we will not be able to share the gift anymore, right? Because this was always what Mauta would do. He would bring the stone and he would share it with the people so that the people could connect to the energy and to the memory inside the stone.
Yes.
And so when you and I met and I handed over the stone, and then all of a sudden you said, oh, I have a gift for you as well. And you gifted me with my own stone that comes from the same place where this stone of Mauta's came from.
And that was time.
Yes. Yeah. And that was truly something where, like, I knew in that moment, oh, so we can continue to share the gift, right? Even though it is not the same exact stone, it comes from the same place, it comes from the same moment, and it was just right next to it, right there.
Yes.
So it was truly it continues, because I have it right here with me, right? It continues to be such an honor to have received such a precious gift myself. And I'm deeply grateful for it, because I will continue to follow the example that he made, and I will continue to share this wherever I go. It will go with me, and I will share it with the people, because I know that this is what he would have wanted. And if there wouldn't have been a place for the stone to go to, that is what I would have done with the stone, right? And so this is truly where I know, yeah, that I just want to express again my deep gratitude, and also the trust that you are, again, gifting me with. Because I know that in that moment you said, yeah, I want to gift this to you, because you came here and you returned it in the way that you did. You showed up and you wanted to show your appreciation for that. But it was not only that, it was really that you answered a call that was in my heart to be able to continue this work in the way that he would have, in his image, so to say.
Yeah.
And so that's truly so beautiful. And mine is smaller, just like me. I'm smaller too, but this is the piece that you gifted me with. And yeah, it's truly such an honor to have this with me, and to be able to share this, and to also receive the memory that is within this piece, right? Because even though they were once one, so to say, they split into pieces because they share different memories. They share maybe even different stories, which I don't know yet, but it feels as if there's something for us to discover with this, and that's truly exciting and encouraging. It's like an encouraging feeling that it gives, the feeling of, yes, you are doing good. You're invited to continue. That's what I get. Not only me, but we all. That's what I feel. It's not for me, right? It's not mine. It's for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I'm older than yourself, as I said to you, when I pass, this is my sacred vow to you. I'll leave instructions for my daughter to hand the sacred stone, because you understand it over to you.
Oh.
So yeah, on my passing, you can have it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you and I, we will have lots of conversations before that happens, and it's still far in the future that moment will come. But also that is such a deep honor, because I remember you shared that feeling with me after the solstice, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, but you're trustworthy and you understand it. And that's what's important. And, and I honor that and I respect that. And I don't know anybody else that would, even my family, they understand a little of what I do, but not to that depth. So, and I know my daughter would honor that. So.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Also, the moment that we had in the apple tree circle, it was very interesting, because there was this other HUNA from Germany with me, right? And she was around at the tour at the same time, but for some reason it was as if we were walking in different dimensions, because she asked me, when was the time that you met up with Dawn there? I'm like, at 11. I was like, I was walking by there. I didn't see you. And I'm like, but we were there. And so it was really like such a precious moment, where it really felt you and I were meant to come together. And it was really also the feeling, like the deep conversations and the sharings that we had. It was truly like this feeling of we come together as old friends, even though we are from different ages. It was the feeling of, okay, we come together as old friends, and there's something for us to remember as well. And the whole druidic energy was already with me for such a, such a time when connecting with you and feeling, oh, I need to bring her this gift. And so, yeah, it was really this feeling of coming together with an old friend, and to have that, and to have you to also in moments lean on, and to have you to share with, and to exchange feelings with, or to even come to for guidance, is truly such a gift for me to receive. Yeah.
Well, I'm really blessed to be part of the Hunas, the Huna family. So, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
And it'll carry on being one, and we'll do what we need to do,
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for my gift of the seeds and the mistletoe bags. So thank you.
And it was just so lovely. I remember that I was already walking on the beaches in Mexico, and some of the seeds come from those beaches, and I was collecting them, and I was like, oh, they need to go into a bag. She needs to receive a bag of sacred seeds. I don't know why, but this needs to happen. It's like one of these things that you just do because you're guided to do so, and you don't even know why, right? But yeah, so beautiful. I would love to open up this conversation for maybe anyone who feels they would love to jump on with us. Maybe someone has to share something or has a question for Dawn, for me. If you feel that, you are now very much invited to jump on with us. Because I feel that more or less everything that we wanted to share has been shared. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, again, just such a, looking back at it again, I remember coming back from Glastonbury, from that whole journey. I was like, wow, what was that? Like these 6 days of journeying. So much took place, and I'm very excited for the next sharing circle as well, where we will have all of the Hunas jumping on with me together to share about all of the things that took place during the time that I was in Glastonbury, at Stonehenge, and then Avebury, because we, right from the beginning, we were in ceremony. And this was something that I did not expect at the beginning, right? Because I came to return the sacred stone, and then these other things came into that moment as well, but they were all connected. Of course, they were all connected, and it was such a powerful, amplified moment where so many timelines and so many things kind of came together. And also the ceremonies over there in Puerto Rico were part of it. And my feeling was truly, this is all somehow connected to the time of Second Lemuria, so the time of when Europe and North America were still one large continent, and also feeling witnessing the mists of Avalon in a very powerful way, and the confirmations and the synchronicities, even the crop circles. I tell you, like, it's just wow, it's mind-blowing in terms of how the synchronicities were and how the confirmations were coming in a very profound way. And I'm looking very much forward to share about all of that on next Wednesday. So in 3 days, we will have that sharing, and yeah, I think it will be very exciting. So I invite you all to tune in again, because there you will have lots of beautiful things shared. Yes, anybody wants to jump on? Doesn't look like it. Tamaki, do you have anything to share?
I do not,
out
but
there?
I do not, but there are some beautiful comments that I'm going to put on the screen.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I was not really. Oh, thank you, Huna Hirimata. Yes. Yes. So beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, feels like a Bridget Stone. Interesting. Yeah. I was wearing the red robes, so that's interesting. A lot. Oh, beautiful. Don't let it melt away, though. We need that heart. Oh, Huna Mawarika, Wawanui. Beautiful. And Will is there as well. Yeah, does anybody want to jump on? Otherwise, we will probably sign out in the next few moments. Maybe there's a beautiful question or a beautiful sharing that wants to be heard, received. Don't be shy. Come on and show your pretty faces. Yeah.
If not, I have a closing blessing when we're ready.
Oh, yes. Yes, please.
I don't want to rush it, though. So if anybody wants to jump on, that'd be great.
We'll just give it another minute. And interesting about the Bridget energies. I remember the first time being in Ireland. The Bridget came in a very funky way, so to say. It's very interesting. There's an aspect to that energy which is really, really interesting. So yeah, maybe there's something for me to remember. Something that I've already kind of felt was like my intuition was just to hold the stone like this. And it, for me, it has a feeling of almost like a blade, like a sacred blade. That's all that I know so far, and maybe there's more for me to remember. If not, that's fine as well. I'm just grateful to be able to carry it and to share it when I do my dragon rite ceremonies or when I come together with people in sacred ceremony, for them to connect in to the stone and to receive what they are meant to receive out of the Wairua. Yeah. Ninja Star Stone. Yes.
Well, your stone, the stone I gifted you, actually came with me to a ceremony at St. Bridie's Mound in Glastonbury, and where I did a ceremony around St. Bridget's Well.
Oh, interesting.
So it was a water ceremony I was doing at the time, and it was absolutely bucketing it down.
What does that mean? Bucketing?
Bucketing. Oh, it was torrential rain.
Bucketing. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Torrential rain. It wasn't supposed to be in torrential rain, but it was.
We have our lovely Koha Huna with us from Warsaw. Lovely to see you, Wawanui. Thank you for jumping on with us.
Hello.
Wawanui. Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies. I just traditionally wanted to thank you both for the journey. I can tell by just listening to you how much of a strength you guys have in you to do it on that very time. And I just wanted to share with everyone, and I'm trying to tie the history of the prophecy to what is happening currently globally, with the timeline splitting. I just wanted to share my perspective of how I very much felt that how much of your work was just adding to the final split of the timelines. And when you were talking about, that phrase that Mauta mentioned of, hold the darkness until the light is fully here. I'm not sure how you felt it, but on that very day, I literally felt this was the final touch of a light we needed, for the timelines to very nicely and smoothly split. And now as you're tying it to the Lemuria, the second Lemuria, I'm not sure, but many of us are probably remembering like the promise and the fact that we almost all of us lived until that time. I think it's something that is really worth mentioning and highlighting. And I just wanted to thank you both of you, to the entire team, for delivering the prophecy. I think that we're just starting to realize what is it that you guys have accomplished. So from the depths of my heart, like, thank you so much for everything you've done. And I'm very, very grateful for
I mean, in a
moment.
way, it's like the prophecy was guaranteed by Mauta himself, because he joined together both of the X-heads. So this was part of that prophecy. I have the proverb written down in one of my notebooks, but it's over there. I don't remember the whole thing. I only remember parts. But down in New Zealand, it's a very, very well-known proverb. So I also spoke to Mauta's family about this moment, and I asked them, can you confirm that this is the right way of writing the proverb? Because I actually wanted to share this with you, and I will still do, Dawn. I wanted you to receive the original words. And there is, at the end, it goes following: humie, huie, taikie. And so humie and huie are both of the X-heads that Mauta received in his lifetime, because this X-head that we have there with Dawn is one of two. And so the understanding with the Maori people is bringing these together. It's like coming together in brotherhood, sisterhood, coming together. It's like something that they share, and it doesn't only hold one meaning. It holds different, like it holds multiple dimensions of meanings. And in the way, the stone also returned in multiple dimensions. It returned in multiple ways. Yes, it returned back to the hands that gifted them in the first place. It returned back in the moment. It returned energetically back to Mauta. So there were multiple dimensions with that. And then even because next week's the next sharing is going to be the harmonization of the two waters. And even with that, you can see that there are two X-heads, right? And they represent both of these waters. And in the time of the 2 weeks before I was then going on my journey to Glastonbury, I went quite through a process with the stone, because a part of me was, again, going through another moment of grief, because I would part with the stone, but I'm like, this is only the stone. It's not only, it's of course a very sacred stone, but a part of me was like, this is only a stone. Why are you why is all of this, happening with you just because of the stone? You never wanted to keep this. And that was also never my feeling, but still there was like this grieving happening with me because of the energy that is in there and the connection that this had with Mauta, right? And I was sitting with that stone, and a sharing of another elder came to me that I once saw somewhere on YouTube or social media somewhere, from an elder from Africa that held up, and maybe one of you also saw this video, held up I think it was an axe as well, and he pointed at the weapon and he said, this blade is not a weapon to kill people. This is a purifier to protect the sacred feminine. This is why we hold that is why we carry this weapon. And so there was also this feeling of, there's something with that as well, where the axe had to return fully back into the omnipresence, so to say, to emanate that power, to emanate that energy. That was also what I felt. So yeah, there's still ongoing discovery with this, and it's yes, on the prophecy is guaranteed but it's still being guaranteed at the same time as well. It's almost like, yes, it is already, but it's still ongoing in a way. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Being in these multiple dimensions, because there's still things happening now in the world where I look at it and I'm like, I know that this is connected to what we just did. And a lot of other Hunas that were with that I was together with go through the same thing. Like they see things and they like, oh, this is connected to what we just did. So it was another 0 point moment that we went through. It was another vortex point, so to say. Yeah. And you also mentioned the toroidal field energy that is there within Stonehenge. Yeah, and it's very much all connected to Nimarana and Niana, so the undistorted light and the distorted light. Yeah, because those are in a way also the two currents that we experience. And it's like everything is now getting so close knit. Sometimes it's very hard to discern what is what, because it is as if we're coming closer and closer to that moment of threshold. Like both of them, it's like everything is coming closer together, and more space gets created at the same time. It's like, again, just weird expressing it, but yeah. Thank you for sharing and expressing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
I mean, for me, you know, when Mota's voice was saying, hold the dark until the light comes, I mean, that gave me courage, because there was a lot of darkness around in the stone circle that night. And, you know, it was a little bit frightening being on my own, because everybody thought I was going to be somewhere else. Nobody actually knew where I was. It was just I went, and people were expecting me to turn up the next day in Stanton Drew, but I was doing this in Stonehenge. So, you know, at 3:30, I thought, oh, I better tell somebody. So I sent a quick text saying, sorry, but I'm not coming to Stanton Drew. And they just thought I didn't give a reason. So nobody knows what I did other than you here tonight. I haven't mentioned it because I wanted to keep it sacred. I felt it wasn't the right time to verbalize it. And when I verbalized it, I wanted it to be here in the first instance, so I can be honest with people. And they're going, oh, well, we've got Lunasa coming up now on the 1st of August, which is another Druidic ceremony for the turning of the wheel. And they said, are you coming to Stanton Drew this time? I said, yes, I'll be there. I'll bring my drums. So, but I mean, it's honestly, I didn't think about it, but there's something sacred in not verbalizing it, you know, other than just with yourselves.
Yes.
And this is the official sacred sharing. And and I thought, well, am I meant to share? Like that went through my head today. I thought, is it meant to go out? And I thought, it is. It absolutely is, because we were witness to what happened, and we have to spread that and share those energies.
Yeah, and in this space it is also not meaning that other people are not able to receive it, but here people, because they have heard Mauta share the story himself, right? It's received. And also I want to share on that part of the sacredness of sometimes not speaking to things. That was exactly what I felt about my feelings of that the stone should actually be at Stonehenge, and that you should actually be at Stonehenge. That was something that I felt, but for some reason I didn't feel like I was entitled to say that to you, right? But still, it was there. I had those feelings, and so I already had a hunch about the moment, but I was not meant to say. It was the same with the black dragon. I never spoke to Mauta about the black dragon directly. I only always spoke about the energies, kind of like trying to hint at things, because I was wanting him to receive the energy, but it was not his to receive, it was mine to receive. And so I did this whole, like, I don't know, extra circle around the sun with the energy until I finally got the message. I think we have other people on here as well. Wawanui, over there in Hawaii.
Hi.
Aloha.
Yes,
Aloha.
aloha, everyone, for sharing. Thank you again for your energies and allowing yourself to be witnessed. I know this is very much a difficult task for someone like myself who doesn't like to be in the limelight or likes to just be in silence. But definitely at this time, I feel it's important that we do share and express or allow the emotions to be fluidly expressed through us, to witness them, and then to just be in the moment, so to speak. So thank you for sharing everything. This is live from Makaha, Pure Source Power, First Light. So maybe I could flip my screen over so I can show you. Just the water.
Oh,
It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, the sky. Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm looking forward to coming to Hawaii one day. I know it will be sooner than later, hopefully. Looking very much forward to that. Thank you so much for coming up online and sharing your light with us in this moment, and for your encouraging words as well, because yes, I do agree. It's important for us to continue sharing, even though it sometimes feels weird. And I can tell you, sometimes for me, it feels very weird to share myself, but still it's something that we do for ourselves first and foremost, right? To shine our light regardless. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much for doing that. I feel that it's so important for the continuation of this mission, this team, and the prophecy has just started, right?
in a way. I mean, if we're speaking to the child of light, that's still ongoing, right? That's still the joint promise that we all made, right? Aren't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm right here anchoring it at first light, first born, and first breath. So
Makaha, quite a place to call home. How beautiful!
Yeah, quite the place, quite the kingdom, so to speak. And I'm just
beautiful,
taking in all the inspiration and ideas on how to build it up properly.
Yeah, all of that building is gonna start. Yeah,
very, very much so. I love the I would say getting back in tune with the kata'ao, the flow of the water. Out here they have some sides of the island where the water will still flow down from the top all the way back to the ocean. So getting in tune with those systems of dictating where the water goes to allow the land to be fruitful for everybody who lives on the land, and being back in harmony with it. So it's like the vision of the dream of just being in the land and the water and the sky.
And the land there, even though I have not walked the land, in the Golden Canoe ceremony that I just hosted in the week before I traveled to Glastonbury, I hosted the very first Golden Canoe ceremony for 3 people. And there was a moment where I was in the waters of Hawaii, and the water and the land was showing me that they exchange sacred information. So what you've just described reminded me of that vision that I got and the feeling that I got, that right there, the land knows what the water knows and vice versa. It's really that they're exchanging sacred information right there at the shoreline, and where the water is carrying that information over to other lands and other parts of the world as well. And so, yeah, and just getting that vision, it's like, yes, you know, that intention of the harmonization of the two waters is quite powerful. And even though I knew to a certain degree how powerful it might be, I did not fully comprehend the full extension of the intention that I carried into these ceremonies. Because the Wairua, Wai means water, Rua means two waters. So the Wairua tapu itself speaks to the two waters. So the sacred memory itself speaks to the two waters. That's another dimension of sacred memory, right? And speaking the harmonization of that is quite something, right? And so we are still experiencing the expansion of that intention. And it's connected to another intention that Mu'uta invited a few years back, which was in the sacred ceremony in Mongolia, which was aligned to Shambhala, which was connected to the 22 billion souls. So that you have the 2, so 2 times 2. So everything is, it's not only 2, but it's actually 22. It's like always amplified. It's always double it up, or double down, double down. Always double down. And so that was really interesting, going into these ceremonies and having these codes of the 22 and the 2 being all over the alignments. And what you've just described with the flow of the water, this is really something that we're invited to connect deeper with, right? And to let the Wairua teach us, let the Wairua really come through in a different way than before, maybe. This is all, I know that this is all connected to the stargates and where we are at with that and all of that. The Wairua is going to come in a different, not in a different, but it's going to come in different. It's going to change us. That's what it's going to do. Yeah. And this, what you just spoke to, is part of that. So I'm grateful for that sharing, because I can already feel that it's pulling me right in. Yeah.
The Kaha. Yeah, I'm being called to speak to the Kaha as well, and go and ascend the mother, the father, and the child. And as far as work on those things, that's what I've been called to do, to utilize my frequency and be seen doing so. So it's beautiful to express and share and catch up and to see how everybody else is doing. You know, even though we still love our brother, the Flash, we know he will always be with us. And, you know, we just patiently wait at our stations to build and fortify, and, you know, wait to bring him back in. So, you know, we have a big rehearsal ahead of us, but I know this is the work that we chose to do. So.
Yeah, he always said, "Oh, the ceremony that we did in Mongolia," he said, "That's only a dress rehearsal." And I'm getting now why he said that. I'm like, okay. Like, there are moments where I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I remember, like, when I came out of that ceremony in Stonehenge, I literally looked up to the skies and I told them, I'm never going to do that again. I never had so much resistance in the field. I never experienced something quite like that, to be honest. It was something that I experienced in my physical body itself.
Yeah.
While I was trying to go through the protocols and do the things, right? And I said, I'm never going to do that again. But still, they're gonna make us do things that we're not even aware of yet.
I said the same thing walking out of there. I thought, I'm not doing that again.
And I feel we will never have to. It'll be different. It'll be different things that we will do. Yeah. Even though after that you went to the Vatican and you still went and did something even more horrific. So it's like,
I know. But there we go.
I'm excited for when we get to play in the water targets.
Yes. There's so much there. There's so much ahead of us. There's so much magic and so many beautiful things that we are patiently awaiting and that are patiently awaiting us, right? And I feel and I trust that everything will build up in a beautiful and natural way, and that we don't need to force anything. That's really what I feel. There's no forcing needed. It's just that we are invited to show up whenever we feel we need to. And whenever the energies are building, we will look after that and we will show up. That's what I feel, because we are many. We are many, actually. Yeah.
And it's a whole different energy. It's a completely different scenario, right?
But it's important to show up, and it's important, as you said, to verbalize it. Like, I'm not so good at verbalizing. I walk around in silence, and I get on with things and do them, but I don't share, and I don't talk about it, really, keeping it sacred. But I think now we need to. It's important.
The first time when Mauta was prompted to share, he said, no, I'm not sharing, because of course, with going out there and sharing, it's vulnerable, right? It's you are putting yourself out there, and of course, sometimes you can also receive backlash of that, and I've already felt that in the field. Sometimes that I would feel, okay, energy is coming back to me that were not so pleasant, but it's part of it, and we shouldn't hold back, because I now see that whatever, if I'm triggering people, that's fine for me. Well, then they needed that. It's not my, it's not my thing. I'm not responsible for that. I'm just responsible for me sharing my truth and my light, and whoever resonates is, and I would love to receive them, but if you don't resonate, just go somewhere else. That's fine for me too. And so showing up with that courage as well, I feel, is encouraging each other, right? Because at the beginning of going on YouTube lives and all of that, I was so always second guessing what I was sharing. And nowadays I'm just, okay, I'm here, and today I felt tired. And at first I was like, my brain just felt completely scrambled, but that's okay. I'm still going to show up, because this was an important moment for us to also share this. And I really wanted this to be a moment where you could share your experiences, and where we could focus on the story of the sacred stone, right? Yeah.
And thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you guys. And I feel there's nobody else here, right? So I feel that maybe now we're almost at the 2 hours mark. So maybe it's a good time to close the circle. You two, please stay with us for the blessing that Dawn is going to share with us.
Yes.
If you all feel like that, I would invite that now from you. You know what's interesting, Dawn?
What?
It's still so much light there where you are, and we are not even that far apart. And look how dark it's where I am. Interesting. We're just an hour time difference.
There's dark clouds out there, though. They keep predicting thunderstorms, so I'm just holding the light. holding the light.
Yes.
As we should.
Okay, so should I do the little blessing now?
Yes, please.
Small blessing.
Hmm.
Okay. So may the blessings of Great Spirit be always with us as we close this sacred sharing and gathering in our apparent world. May its inspiration continue and flower within our being. Peace be with us and with all beings, past, present, and yet to be. Hethuk, which is Welsh for peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo for that.
Beautiful.
Wawanui.
Wawanui. Yes, the expansion of the energies of peace. That was also a big part. Yeah. And continues. Beautiful. Again, thank you for everyone who was with us live. Thank you too for jumping on the screen with us, sharing your light, sharing this moment with us. Be back with us maybe on Wednesday. It'll be exciting. There will be lots of faces on here and lots of voices and lots of things. It'll be a lot to take in for sure, but it will be quite an adventure to be part of and to hear as well. So looking forward to that and wishing you all a blessed day, blessed night, wherever you are. Most beautiful days and the next days to come until we see us again. And Wawanui.
Wawanui, Timauta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.